3, 4.
We just live right now, man. It's going down, excited for the season. You know, we coming off a playoff win. I mean, you know, we had a couple wins.
Hello, and welcome to Diaries, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast presented by us, the staff of Brewhoop. My name is Riley Feldman, here for episode 203 to celebrate the end of the 2024-2025 regular season for the Milwaukee Bucks. Before we depart, though, into the playoffs, we want to rewind it, talk about the week of games that just concluded heading into the postseason. And I couldn't be happier to be joined tonight by one of my usual co-hosts, Kyle Carr. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm good. Celebrated Easter yesterday, a week early. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of chocolate. And when I got back to Madison, I saw the most bizarre box score I think I've ever seen in my life.
We'll get to that. That's a good tease. We're also joined by Brewhoop managing editor Van Faez. Van, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well. I just finished filing my tax return, which I just put off, and I'm pleased to report that after I received a $17 refund this year, I am going to get $23 this year. So
yeah, I had to pay. I was pissed.
I'm feeling great. I didn't overpay, and I'm gonna take that $23 right to the liquor store or the grocery store and just buy some eggs. I might just buy a dozen eggs with it. That might be too. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Go to the liquor store. That's good. I love that. You'll be popping bubbly, much like Pat Connaughton did the other day. That's our transition to the games of the week that was. I'll just run through the scores real quick before we open it up to talk about perhaps the greatest moment of the entire regular season. So the week started off for the Bucks at home. Minnesota Timberwolves, they beat the Timberwolves 110-103 after Chris Finch puts on a coaching masterclass, allowing his team to completely piss away a huge lead without doing anything to really help him out. So thank you, Chris. The Bucks then stay at home, face the New Orleans Pelicans, beat them handedly 136-111. And then the final competitive portion of the season with the 5th seed on the line. The Bucks headed to Detroit to face the Pistons, beat them 125-119 before concluding in Game 82 shenanigans, which we have become very used to around here, in a 140-133 overtime thriller. Let's open it up here. Adam's not here, but obviously if he was, we would start with Pat's last stand. Who wants to go for it? Who wants to take that up? Who wants to take the mantle?
I feel as though, like I said, I was in Dodgeville, and I was not just in Dodgeville, Wisconsin. I was in the boonies of Dodgeville, Wisconsin. And I come back. I get to Madison. I get cell service. I get the Bucks notification. You know, the game happened. I was like, yeah, I knew there was a Bucks game. And I saw the Bucks won in overtime. I was like, okay, yep, seems like a game 82. I saw the starting lineup. I was like, yep, that's a game 82. This game does not matter. Starting lineup. All right. Then I saw Pat Connaughton was the leading scorer. I was like, sure. I don't know who else would have been the candidate considering everyone else rested. All right, no problem. I saw 3 in a score. I was like, all right, 23 points or something. Fine. No, it was 43. And I was like, is this correct? And he's got 11 rebounds. And what in the world happened? And I saw the box score and I was like, Pat Connaughton played 40-something minutes at his age and doing that. Well done. You know, Bouye he played 47 minutes, looked solid. Pete Nance, 43 minutes. I was like, all right. I'm just happy. I saw Tyler Smith get like 30 minutes. He shot the ball well. And I was like, there we go. The Tyler Smith, the future Bobby replacement take is not dead yet. So had that going for me. So reading how that game went was very intriguing. And also I feel like this is what makes basketball fun at times. These kind of games where it's just like, this doesn't matter. So it's fun. Everyone's having a good time. Yeah, they blew a 8-point lead with a minute and a half left or whatever. Like, that's annoying. But you know what? This game does not, like we say the regular season doesn't matter, but this game really didn't matter. It felt like preseason, and we were just all hoping that everyone made it unscathed. And that's what happened.
It wasn't a minute and a half. It was 16 seconds.
I was trying to
16 seconds.
He was trying to pad
left.
the stats a little
That's
bit.
when they went up. That's when Pat Connaughton got, I don't know, maybe his 40th point or something like that. 36th when he hit a layup to put him up 3. And around that time, I was thinking like, this is it. We were all thinking this is about it in the playback. But Lindy Waters had something to say about that.
I was trying to give him more credit than they deserve. Again, I did not watch this game, so for me, I'm still coming in from the outside, baffled.
Sure.
But well done, Pat Connaughton, for one day only. We had the Pat Connaughton game. We thought it was when he got a bang in the NBA Finals. No. When you think about Pat Connaughton's time in Milwaukee, this is the game that we will talk about. This is the Rodney Hood game, but for Pat Connaughton.
This is the Rodney Hood game on steroids. I wanted to ask Riley, when you said the greatest moment of the Bucks season, were you talking about the come from behind victory against the Wolves or this Pat Connaughton game? I mean,
it's the Pat Connaughton game for sure. Only because we've spent so much time, and by we I mean me, I've spent so much time out in public saying, "Hey, teams need to keep an eye on Pat Connaughton. Like if he right. opts out, he is a huge free agent pickup for any team."
Your wish casting came true.
Yeah, it's true, and it's also funny because
he's gonna opt out.
Yep. Well, Adam is so deep in the Pat Connaughton sauce that, of course, it's like Pat and Brooke. They do anything, and I immediately think of Adam. So I was thinking of Adam almost like that gif of it's like a cartoon wolf with the eyes popping out of his head, and it's like slamming the table, like going awooga or whatever. That's what Adam was doing spiritually. So yeah, I'd say. For like Kyle said, game 82, like Pat Connaughton, go out on your shield, take about 29 shot attempts. I just want to. I love 100% before the game started. They went in the huddle and they said, "Feed Pat and just let's let it rock." Well, and it's amazing. Yeah. I love it.
They fed Kyle Kuzma in the first quarter. They were up 43-25 after one, and Kyle Kuzma 22 points in 12 minutes, 8 of 10 shooting, only missed 2 threes of his 7 attempts. I want to say I saw something about how this was like maybe the 7th quarter ever that someone had scored 23 points while playing all 12 minutes or something like that. So we can't overlook some of the other contributions from this game, but it didn't look like it was going to be Pat Connaughton's moment early on. I mean, other guys had good games too. Tyler Smith, Pete Nance, shout outs to them. But
I have a question here real quick while we're shouting out. Is there anything more, let's say, dispiriting than and not for Stanley Amude, but for Jack Traherne, Stanley Amude's also his last stand, 15 minutes, and he puts up almost a Tony Snell stat line.
The Stanley Amude revenge game did not happen. Just that's the only thing he had over Chris Middleton. So
I'll let us say him and Chris Livingston both did not have a good. You would think out of all the players, you're like, hell, even AJ Green in like 19 minutes. At least he got some shots up, and he made 2 or 3.
I mean, Milton was 6 and 6, or not Milton. I'm sorry, Livingston. He went 6 for 6 and 2 assists. That's something. I mean, he ends up with the superior regular season. So, but no, back to Connaughton. There was earlier this year. I mentioned this to some other people in the chat yesterday. Like he spoke after some game this year. I don't remember which one or really what the context was. One of those rare games he played because probably, this was when Dame and Giannis were sick or something like that. And he goes up on the podium and he says something effective. I believe the exact words, in fact, were, "My best basketball days are ahead of me." And I'm thinking, what? I go out. I don't, in the moment, I'm trying to be professional, not like roll my eyes or anything. But then I go talk to Eric Name afterwards because Eric had not been in the room for that. And I just said, "This is what Pat Connaughton said." And Eric goes, "Well, yeah, what do you expect him to say? I'm washed. I'm done." But I mean, I was laughing at Connaughton for that, but Pat Connaughton's the one laughing now. I mean, like Kyle said, that might have been the best. I mean, that's the best game of his career. I couldn't believe his career high was only 25. I was sworn he had like a 30 point game at some point back in like 2022 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it might be a better day for him. I don't know. Ask him if he says, what was the best day of your basketball life? Winning the 2021 NBA Finals or dropping 43 in game 82 versus the Detroit Pistons at age 32. And yeah, he might say this.
I think actually what he will say is opting into almost $10 million guaranteed that I absolutely did not.
So that day is still to come.
That's day is so
yeah.
I mean,
it's his best basketball days,
on July
plural, still to
or
come.
whatever.
Yeah, he'll say as soon as he opts in, if we had a press conference that day, he would say, "Now it's officially behind me as of midnight."
My best basketball days are behind me. They all happened in the last few months. Both of them.
Okay. All right. So Pat Connaughton, obviously the highlight of the week, but as always, we have to do our typical exercise. What did we learn about the Bucks this week? Especially, I think this is an interesting exercise because obviously, like we said, there's two real games and two laughers. One completely laugher, the other against the Pelicans, who are more or less not a real basketball team right now for obvious reasons. But without Dame, whose timeline is still extremely unclear, we'll probably get $1 million. Oh, maybe he's close. We're not sure. It's clearing. It's going to be a lot of smoke screening until whatever actually happens. So functionally, head forward without Dame. Who you got is who you got. And you see through at least two of the real games, something a little bit interesting from those. So we'll start with you, Van. What did you learn about the Milwaukee Bucks this week as the 2024-2025 season came to an end?
I think the big takeaway, probably for a lot of people, was this Giannis plus bench closing lineup has something. We saw it at the end of the both of the real games this week. The Minnesota game, where in the fourth quarter they outscore Minnesota 40-13. They erase a 24-point deficit. Go on I think it ended up as like a 34-3 run. And it started off with like at least a 20 to zip run. I think a little bit more. But you look at how that lineup did. You can look at the single game plus minuses for it. All those guys are plus double figures. Bobby Portis, Gary Trent, Kevin Porter Jr., AJ Green, obviously Giannis, who had, I think that was his third consecutive triple-double at that point. So that was this kind of revelation that I was on Locked On this week, and we were talking about. It's like this kind of came out of nowhere. Then we saw it again on Friday night as the Bucks were clinching the 5 seed, taking down the Pistons. It was the same kind of thing. There wasn't as much. I think there weren't as many positives for like Kevin Porter Jr. in that game, and Trent struggled to shoot the ball a bit more. But AJ Green, good game still. Portis, now he's back. That was his first game back, the Minnesota game. I think what it just tells me, maybe that's a lineup that you can go to for brief stretches in this opening round. Like, I'm not necessarily thinking about the fourth, like, clutch time. I think they deserve a shot at that based on how they have played against two quality NBA teams, like two definite playoff teams. I think, yeah, if I'm Doc Rivers, I do give them a shot at closing out a game at like earlier in the series, game 1 or 2. But I also like that lineup maybe in the second quarter or earlier in the fourth quarter. I think, we can talk about Kyle Kuzma, who had, kind of up and down week. Taurean Prince, also like, a couple. He had a couple or one decent game, I guess. Against the New Orleans, he was fine too. But there are people talking about, like what change do you make to the starting lineup, even without Damian Lillard in there? And obviously, we have this big boy starting lineup right now where there are 3 power forwards essentially playing spots 2 through 4, and then Ryan Rollins and Brook Lopez. And if you make a change, like if you get to game 3 or something and the offense isn't looking good, I think, you switch out one of Prince or Kuzma, and it's going to be for AJ Green or Gary Trent. But that's the starting lineup. The closing lineup, I think you have maybe more choices based on what we see this week. Like, I think multiple of those guys, Porter some nights, Green, maybe 2 of them in that closing lineup. And I don't want to put the cart way ahead of the horse here, but if Damian Lillard plays, I think you would say the same thing. Like you could still trot, one of Bobby, Green, Trent, or KPJ out there. It's just one fewer than you would have before. And which one is it? I think that's up for debate. I think I'd have a preference list on there. But it's a promising development that all of a sudden, like right at the end of the regular season, found this lineup that, hey, this could work at least for stretches in the playoffs. Might not have captured that same magic that we've seen over the last week, but with the magic they've created, I think they've earned the shot at trying it out for decent stretches in the postseason.
So all things being equal, what would be your right now? We go into game one. Game is close. Obviously this is going to be tactical stuff, but the closing lineup is, you think you wouldn't mess with it at all?
I'm not sure. I want to first think about who Indiana is likely to have out there. Obviously Halliburton, obviously Siakam, probably Turner, Ben Mathurin, Nesmith. One of those guys maybe you take out for Nembhard. Like, for example, like if they go like Nembhard's been starting for them. He probably is in there over Mathurin, or if they go small and they have Siakam essentially playing the 5, that's probably, it's a lineup of 5 of those 6 guys. And I like Obi Toppin maybe, but I'm not as concerned by him. With how you match up with that, obviously Giannis. I think you need others. You need another big out there. I mean, obviously with Turner, you like Lopez's size much more, but I think they can get away with Bobby. But then you have basically like 3 guards playing the rest of the lineup. I would actually go with I think it's either Brooke or Bobby playing the 5, and then I would take KPJ, Gary Trent, and AJ Green. So basically the same lineup they have right now, because I do like how it matches up with the guys in that Indiana backcourt. Like Gary Trent had some really nice games against Tyrese Halliburton this year. I remember that game before New Year's. That was like one of the best defensive performances I've seen from him this year, and he really shut Tyrese Halliburton down. The Bucks have done a good job on Halliburton in general, and I think I would trust Gary the most out of anyone on the team right now. So yeah, Kevin Porter, either him or Rollins, but I feel like Kevin Porter, just with his scoring and his distribution edge that he has over Rollins is the guy I want. But Rollins' on-ball defense is good too. I just think that like I think it's worth a try. Like have Gary Trent be the primary defender on Halliburton. Let Giannis and Bobby deal with Siakam. Obviously you want Giannis being good, but they'll switch around. Or they could just throw a zone, just like what they did against the Wolves. And it looked like the Wolves had never seen it before.
Kyle, thoughts on the closing lineup?
Well, and I was going to say, and we were on that playback where back on New Year's Eve, they went with that zone with Bobby as the 5, and Indiana did not take advantage of it. And
I wanted to say they did a zone in that game too.
They did do a zone. Like Doc they pretty much ran zone the whole fourth quarter, more or less. So I think that is something they could do. I would probably switch. I want to find a way to get Taurean Prince out there because I think he is still someone that you're going to need some size, and I just feel as though I trust Taurean Prince shooting the ball more, but then it's tough because it's like Gary Trent Jr., AJ Green, and Kevin Porter Jr. all also deserve that opportunity. So I feel as though if you're gonna, I would maybe swap AJ Green for Taurean Prince just because of the potential foul likelihood that AJ Green will likely get himself into. So that's the only change I would make. But
that's a good point.
Do think you try it out with Bobby. I'd say if you're gonna go with Bobby, you got to go with the zone. Like trying to play man is going to cause problems. But if you're gonna run zone, then go with Bobby. I'd rather, if you're gonna just do zone drop and man to man, then I'd say go with Brooke out there because you're still going to need someone to have that rim protection. You're still going to need someone who, I mean, if he needs to go up and get the rebound, he can get the rebound. And then offensively, you can use his size more to an advantage, whether it is to pull out a defender, say Miles Turner, you can pull him out, or if Indiana decides to go small, you could have Brook, just feast in the post or work more out of the post. So I tend to agree with all of it. I would say if you're running zone, go Bobby. If you're not, go Brook, and then swap AJ Green for Torian Prince.
I think it's a credit to the players. It's a credit to the front office. It's a credit to the coaching staff that we've gotten to this point, that they go finish the season on an 8-game winning streak. And we're at the point now where it almost felt in previous season, you kind of going like, okay, well, I kind of know set in stone who my 5 are going to be. And yeah, we have a little bit of situational change around the bigs, but for the most part, it's set. And this time around, you have so much flexibility. Now, that's in part because it has to be necessity is the mother of invention, right? So Dame's not available. All right, well, we're going to have to shuffle a lot of guys around to try and figure out what's going to be how we plug that hole essentially on both ends of the floor. But you got the personnel on paper to do it. There's a lot of guys has Porter Jr. ever even been in the playoffs? I don't think so, right? Like he's an untested quantity. And also on top of that, you're going to have to probably jack his minutes up a little bit depending on how he's playing. So how does his play level up with more minutes and into the playoffs? That's a question. Ryan Rollins, same sort of thing. Like, okay, if you're going to be running him out there, how does he react to that? Other guys have playoff experience, but I think it's a credit to the whole team that we got to the point where we can have this discussion and say, okay, well, you have optionality. Like, if you're not going to have Dame, at least have options, and the team has options. So I think I agree with Van with your closing lineup. It is the big question is and thankfully this is one of the series where you can run Bobby minutes and survive. Like, I mean, he might kill you offensively, but that's a whole different question. And he did pretty well in the couple of games that he was able to play right before the season ended. But that's the big question. You can still survive with him though, which is, I think, an equalizing factor.
One last point about the zone, what Kyle was saying. I saw something this week. I believe it was from Caitlin Cooper, formerly of Indy Cornrows. Also, I'm seeing Tony East, who is the host of Locked On Pacers, has written about this too. But the Pacers, I believe, do really struggle against zones this year. I think that's been a common theme of them like throughout the season. And back in, this article I'm seeing from Tony is back in January, and then the more recent numbers and just video I've seen has been from Caitlin Cooper. So we probably will see a lot of zone this series. So Bobby maybe plays.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, last year it's tough because you want to have some lessons from the series last year that you can bring forward, but the personnel was so different. Obviously, Giannis completely unavailable. Like that, it's such a change from what it was last season that you can take a couple of notes. And I think one of those is that Bobby can survive if you play the right defensive system with him out there. I don't know how many other things from last year's series you can really bring forward into this one for obvious reasons, but that's one thing. And good timing by Bobby and the team to say, okay, we'll serve the 25 now, and then he'll be available for the playoffs. So shout out to the team for that. Kyle, what did you learn about the Bucks this week?
I feel like this could also be what we learned this season, but all things flow through Giannis. We didn't really go too in depth about his 35-20-17 triple-double against the Sixers last episode because we talked about it, but it was also kind of it's the Sixers. They weren't throwing anything out there. But even then, like the next week after, it's still, he gets a 36-15-10 against Miami. Then he does another triple-double, 23, 13, and 10 against the Timberwolves, against the Pistons in the Friday game, 32-15, like 11 rebounds, 15 assists. And even in that Pistons game, he didn't get a triple-double, but it was clear like the team went where Giannis went. And with how Giannis is playing, probably the best stretch we have seen him play in a long time, it makes you feel more confident. Like, okay, yes, the Pelicans were completely out of it by then, but in the two games that he did play that mattered, the Timberwolves and the Pistons, he was still the one dictating how things went. He was still the one where it's like he was leading that charge. And then he had that second player, as we talked about, that was there with him and these closing lineups. And like at the end of the day, Giannis is pretty much taking this team and saying, all right, we're going to go win this game. Like how we're going to win this game is going to vary, but we're going to win this game because I'm going to be I'm going to be the focal point of that. So I think that's one of the biggest things we relearned this past week, just because when you watch the performances, it was just like anytime Giannis had the ball, I figured Bucks were going to score one way shape, whether he got the basket or he was able to find someone to score. And with this, and it feels like his defense is back to where we've wanted and kind of back to near his best. So yeah, all things flow through Giannis.
So obviously agree. That's like you said, we learned that this season. We've learned it every season. We relearn it every single time he takes the floor. It'll be really fascinating to watch him out there because the Pacers really don't have an answer in terms of personnel. They can throw more guys at him, but there's not like a guy on the team that I think of as a Giannis stopper. So, okay, that's hurdle one. Can he avoid the temptation if things get a little ugly, if things get a little bit tough, the temptation to try and force things too much? That's because he will be able to get whatever shot that he kind of wants. But if they start throwing out the wall, does he have the trust and everything to pass out of it, to know when to attack, then to dig deeper and say, okay, I'll just keep attacking, but doing it intelligently? And I think the great thing about this final stretch with all these triple doubles is we see the trust in the other teammates and they're paying it off on top of all of that. I think the chemistry with Kevin Porter Jr. in particular is noteworthy. Like how quickly they've been able to build it, given how little time they've shared the courts over the course of the season. So it does all flow through Giannis. We talk pretty much every single series like, oh, he'll be the hub around which everything works. But you have to find that balance between like being a LeBron light, where you're like drawing everything and just orchestrating, but also playing to his strengths without overcommitting, being too aggressive. Okay, then getting into like playing stupid territory. But I mean, like you said, he's playing so on the balance right now, perfectly in both directions, that I'm not too concerned about it. And if I was the Pacers, and we'll be talking to Tom Lewis of Indy Rose later this week, but I would be extremely concerned about that because I just don't see on my team where the solution is going to be outside of forcing him to make mistakes. And if he's able to avoid falling into that trap, then he's going to be really tough to stop for them.
And he's averaging a triple double this month.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like 31.8
14-day month. Yeah.
Yeah. 31.8 points, 12 rebounds, 11.8 assists. And again, he's being smart. Like he's only taken the most threes he's taken was 4 in that game against the Suns, which he made 2 of them. So, okay. And free throws are better. If you take besides the Timberwolves game, it's been better this month. Like I actually looked and he's shooting 73%. And against the Pistons, it was 10 of 11. Against the Timberwolves was bad. That was 4-11. Pelicans was 5 of 10, not great. But the Heat was 10 and 14. The Sixers was 10 and 11, and the Suns was 11 and 12. So hopefully we get more of that as well from the free throw line for Giannis, because I know that's going to be a strategy Indy's going to likely want to go towards.
I think the Pacers, not having anyone who can deal with Giannis is really the key here. And, when we get into the predictions, it's going to be kind of the main reason I cite. I don't think that, the Pacers would have won last year. I think they would have lost probably in 5 or 6 games, even with a banged up Dame or Middleton, had Giannis been healthy. The way he just annihilated that team in last season, of course, the 64-point game, but he also had, I think he had another one. I know he had at least one other over 40. I want to say even maybe close to 50 in that game. He hasn't had quite as big numbers against the Pacers this year. He had one game that was actually kind of a stinker, the one that they lost, but they only lost the one game. I think he does take that matchup very personally, and he's going to come out smelling blood once we get to Saturday. I would be very afraid of him if I were the Pacers and their fans.
How many mid-range jumpers does he miss before you say, okay, we got to try something different? What do you give him? Do you give him 5 misses and say, all right, we got to switch it up? Or
it's a good one to bring up.
He will rely upon it, right?
Well, it's important to note that, he's been one of the best mid-range shooters in the league this year. And no one and the national media seems to really be wanting to give him credit for that. But what else is new? Steve Jones today, Steve Jones Jr., I should say, of the dunker spot. He had posted some video. It was Pacers Bucks video too, just of, you know, what did the Pacers, what's the trade-off they make? Like, are they going to, you know, are they going to deal with Giannis like pulling up and taking these shots, which, you know, in previous seasons you don't have a problem with, but the way things have gone this year, yeah, I think, yeah, that's a trade-off you have to look at if you're Indiana. It's like, because they're either going to drop on him or they're going to just do like off-ball switches and get into like get someone like maybe Siakam or maybe even like Nemard or Neesmith, who is a solid defender, switched onto him with just the off-ball switching, but or just throwing help at him. But what do they, I guess at this point, like, what do they want to live with? Do they want to live with his shooting, which has been better this year, but maybe you don't trust in the playoffs, or his passing, which over the last few weeks has been just out of this world good? I mean, he almost the only one of the few games he didn't have a triple-double this month, the stat that was lacking was rebounds. I mean, he had double-digit assists. I'm looking right now, and at least, yeah, he had in 5 games this month. So the 2 triple doubles, or the 4 triple doubles, he had an 11 assist game, 5 rebound game. Then he had a 5 assist game, 11 rebound game. That was against the Pelicans on Sunday. So obviously, like, or not on Sunday, on Thursday, where he needed rest for the next night. But like, I think this is the best we've seen him pass the ball at any point in his career, and he's just continued to become a really good passer. So if you're Indy, which one, like which side of the sword do you want?
It's a good point, because I think, like, when I think back to matchups, especially when they throw Siakam on him, Siakam plays down a little bit. Like he backs off, like a lot of guys do, but it's very deliberate for them. They try to pseudo pack the paint even when Giannis is at the elbow, for example. So if that's the case, there will be openings elsewhere. It's just reliant upon, can Giannis identify that? It may not even be Giannis's first pass. It's just the pass to the pass or whatever it happens to be. So I do think that's probably what they'll do. They'll throw Siakam at him a lot. Siakam's probably not going to guard up. He's going to step back a little bit. And so it'll be completely on Giannis making the right decision there. And I have a feeling he'll try a couple of mid-rangers for sure, just to see where it's kind of at. That seems to be his vibe, is okay, first one goes, all right, I'll kind of keep going at it. It saves his body a little bit of pressure and also unlocks the defense a little bit. So I think you have to try it, and I think he definitely will try it. I just don't know if it's not going. It's kind of like Bobby Portis. It's like last year, he's just killing us on all those mid-rangers. It's like, Bobby, please do something different. Now, Bobby's a different player from Giannis, but still, like, same idea.
I feel like as long as he's not forcing those jumpers, where it's kind of like, okay, there's a better option and you chose that mid-range, then if it's open and it's within the flow of the offense, that I'm okay with. If it's once he starts deciding, all right, I'm just going to throw up the shot, which was not the better option, and he knows it was not the better option, that's when I was like, okay, that's when I'm going to be like, we got to stop this. I don't know what it's going to take, but we got to stop this.
Yeah, and I wanted to say lately, like, it's been a little more hit or miss. And I'm looking at the last, the 3 games this week that he played against the Timberwolves outside of 7 feet. He's 3 for 7. He hits a 3 against the Pelicans on Thursday night, which not a real NBA team. He's 5 for 7, so much better. But against the Timberwolves, I thought, or not the Timberwolves, the Pistons, that was where I started to notice him struggle a bit with that jumper. He's between, again, like 8 feet and the 3-point line. He's 1 for 5, I'm seeing right now. And then he misses 2 threes. So, yeah, if there's a game like that in the playoffs, I guess you need to rely on him to do what he did against Detroit, where he kind of maybe goes in a little bit more of a facilitator mode, but he was still getting to the rim in that game. So, and if he was getting to the rim around Jalen Duren, he probably will be able to get to the rim around the Pacers.
I mean, ultimately, I don't expect him to fall so in love that he's like, fuck it, I'm getting up 15 jumpers. Like, I don't, that's not going to be the case. If it's not going, it'll be early game. if it's not going, I don't expect him
I
or
hope so.
Doc to allow him. I'm not too worried about that. But
And is it
different.
ever
It's
within
different.
the flow of the offense when he does it? That's another question. Like that's
As much of
It
the
lines
he
that
makes
sucker
them
up.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
But like
That's
he makes them when even when they're not in the flow of the offense, which is interesting.
I think the thing is not so much that, it's more so where it almost seems like he's like, man, I'm kind of tired this possession, and the easier way to do it. I think that's more of the question, because yes, he lines that sucker up, and then he it's like the musket, whatever, and then he lets it unload. It's more so when it's like, oh man, Giannis is tired, like, but he still ended up taking the shot himself rather than, okay, I'm gonna defer to somebody else. Maybe that makes more sense. That's what it's more aggravating, not annoying, I should say.
Yeah, I'm looking at it kind of quarterly right now. These last few games, he's 2 for 3 against the Timberwolves. One of those is a 3-point shot in the fourth quarter. He only didn't play in the fourth quarter against the Pelicans, but 1 of 3 from the mid-range in the third quarter. Against the Pistons, he takes 2 threes kind of late in that game, which we're like, dude, not now. This game is too close, and this game means too much. But he did in that game seem to move away from it in the second half. Like he missed 3 in the second quarter, and then outside of those 3-pointers, I mean, he only took 1 mid-range shot for the rest of the game. So only 3 shots outside of the restricted area.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, Kyle, your point is correct that everything flows through Giannis, and it's really doing so particularly now, and this first series will be a good test of that. I will get to what I learned this week very quickly, kind of following on from a lot of what you guys have said. Without Damian Lillard and with Chris Middleton killing it out in DC as a member of the Washington Wizards, it will be incumbent on the team to find some sort of number 2 guy, and he doesn't have to be the number 2 guy the entire series, but if we can rotate it around to say, hey, as Kyle said, it was the Pat Connaughton game in the finals. Okay, what's our equivalent for the first round series against the Pacers? And they have those guys. They have got, I'd say, as I'm going through these guys, I think primarily my candidates would be Porter Jr., Bobby. You want to say Kuzma? Probably not Kuzma. Gary Trent Jr. for sure. I'd say those 3 are kind of the core that I think of in different ways. And they've shown over the final couple weeks of the season, Porter Jr. in flashes, especially where he is kind of one-man showed it to keep the team in games, and then they kind of close it out from there. Bobby, because of the nature of his play, he will either shoot you into games or shoot you out of them, but he's a difference maker there. And then obviously, like Van said earlier, Gary Trent's been having an excellent close to the season, excellent back half of the season in particular. Adam also gave him a shout out last week. He's had his best effective field goal percentage season as NBA player. So I think you have 3 guys at minimum that have the potential to be the number 2 guy on a given night. Brook Lopez, very consistent. I think he has a high floor. You see about the ceiling depending on the matchup. Taurean Prince, also consistent in terms of at least 3-point shooting. You know what you're getting from him. AJ Green's a little bit more of a question. Kyle Kuzma is a complete adventure. Who else am I forgetting that would be in the Ryan Rollins? But what I would say is there's enough other guys there that I go into the series not being like, holy crap, Giannis is really going to have to hard carry. Like there are other guys who could flash in the pan just for an evening. I don't need you to do it every single game throughout the entire series, but enough to help carry because Giannis is going to get his, and he'll probably enable enough of the rest of the guys to score. But you're probably going to need a little bit something extra from one of the other players. And I think we have those guys, and they've proved it to close the season.
I want to do a little quick exercise with you 2 guys. I know you guys love your 8-man rotation exercise. And,
yeah, we do.
I'm always of the opinion that you need 7 guys. I've said this on this pod before. I've written it before. You need in every series you play, if you want to win it, you need 7 dudes who are helping you more than they hurt you. That's you very rarely, maybe you can get by with 6. If in against Brooklyn in 2021, there were only 6. And it just took, Kyrie Irving getting hurt, James Harden getting hurt. So maybe we shouldn't say 6 ever, but 7. Right now, the Bucks have been running a 9-man rotation. So here's my question. It's a 2-part question. Of these names, which I'm about to give you, who do you remove from the rotation to take it from 9 to 8? And do you think that of those 8 guys, you will have 7 that they don't have to be the same guy every night, but like you'll have 7 each night who are helping you more than they hurt you? So obviously, like we won't factor in Giannis. We also won't factor in Lopez. And we won't factor in Dame because we don't know if he's playing. So who are you taking out of these names? Ryan Rollins, Taurean Prince, Kyle Kuzma, Gary Trent, Bobby Portis, AJ Green, or Kevin Porter Jr.? Who are you removing to make it 8?
I mean, I'm trying to decide between Kyle Kuzma and Ryan Rollins, and honestly, I'm probably going to lean towards Kyle Kuzma. And I'm saying this with sincerity, because Ryan Rollins, as long as Dame is out, you will likely need some Ryan Rollins. And Ryan Rollins defensively is going to be more beneficial than what Kyle Kuzma could bring, even though defensively he might be okay, especially in the non-Giannis minutes he's going to have to guard Siakam. I just know offensively Kyle Kuzma is such a net negative. While Rollins might not be the most that positive on offense, but he also knows his limit.
Both guys are great defenders right now. It's just a matter of...
I'll take the lower risk offensively. That's why I'm going to say Kyle Kuzma I'll take out.
And do you think now you have 7 guys who will be more helpful to you than hurtful every night with those 8?
Yeah, I would say
feel confident in that?
I have enough confidence.
Okay.
Obviously, not having Dame is going to hurt, but I don't even think it needs to be like a guy for each game. I think it just needs to be a guy for points of the game. So it could be Brook starts off hot in the first half, and then we get to the end, and if you need someone else, then maybe that's where Kevin Porter Jr. or Gary Trent Jr. can come in. Like if you need AJ Green to go off for the second or third quarter, you got that. If you need Bobby to give you like 5 good minutes, I think it's more going to be who the second guy will be in that moment. It doesn't have to be the whole game, but you just need someone else to be that number 2 person in the time that is needed.
Riley, how about you?
I do think Kuzma would be the odd one out just because he's so much of an adventure on offense. Like it's on a game-to-game basis, there's so many moments where like, man, I really don't know what you were thinking there. Like just it happens way too often. I think Porter Jr. can also get a bit of a narrow field of vision, but he is much more of a much more of a facilitator. So you take the lumps if he is picking his own shot, calling his own number a little too much because he has that trade-off. So I think Kuzma would probably be the guy down. And I guess I feel pretty confident about like the thing about having Giannis plus a bunch of role players who are really well suited for the role is that you don't worry about a guy going absolutely nuts, like off script or like really having a dunce cap moment, like an entire game. So I feel like even if the positive is not like massive, it's enough where it's like, okay, we can at least survive this. Like you're holding your own. And for the 7th guy in this group of 7, that's enough for us. And you'll get enough from everybody else. I don't know. We'll see about Bobby. I'm so scarred from like the Bobby moments that gives me pause, but you have to have him out there because of big minutes. So I accept that that's the trade-off you make.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys. It's got to be Kuzma, and for the reason I said, like I'm not confident in him to help more than he hurts, even with how well he's played defense since coming to the Bucks. Just looking at the 2 real games this week, and he played in all 3 of them, or in all 4 of them, excuse me. Against he's not in the closing lineup. He's not playing in the fourth quarter in any of these. Unless he played, I don't know. I didn't watch the second Pelicans game if he was playing in the fourth quarter, but not a real game. The Timberwolves game, he is 3 for 5 in the restricted area. Not so bad. He ends up 4 for 8 from the floor, but again, not playing in the crucial minutes of the game. That Pelicans game, he has a very nice one where he's 4 for 5 in the restricted area, and he ends up on the evening 7 of 11 at 17 points against the Pistons on Friday night. He doesn't get a shot off within 13 feet, and he is 3 for 7, 3 for 5 from deep, but 10 points. I mean, just not an efficient 10 points necessarily. but his shot selection usually is a little better than that. And then on Sunday, he goes off in that first quarter. He hits 8 of his 10 shots. But again, not a real team he was playing against. Although I should say, like at that point, the Pistons did have Harris, Hardaway, Duran, Sasser out there. Those are NBA players. No Cunningham, but yeah, he's the guy. And I think to Riley's point about Michael Porter Jr. I'm sorry, not Michael Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr.
I was like, whoa.
I don't know where that came from. I think against Detroit, he was getting a little bit of that tunnel vision, right? Like he ends up in that game. He only has 2 turnovers, but that was his worst game, I think, of the 3 that he played. 7 assists. He's a -3 in that game. He made some big jumpers in that one, some really important jumpers. But I think you roll with him as your primary ball handler, and you can kind of do it down the stretch too. Like, but for the whole series, I mean, I was looking in the regular season, he's 91st percentile as a ball handler in the pick and roll. Like that is among guys with over 100 possessions. That ranks 8th. Like we'll get to who ranks higher than him later on in the podcast, but like I can't necessarily split that up by like when he was on the Clippers and when he's on the Bucks, but I have to think most of that is coming from when he's on the Bucks.
Yeah, I think you go with him. I think primary ball handler. I feel, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the predictions. I feel like he's definitely like the dark horse guy, not necessarily just for the Pacers series, but like as far as the team is going to go, quite obviously, like primary ball handler guy that's not Giannis, he's gonna be the guy, and that's a lot of responsibility for a guy they grabbed at the deadline. But he's shown in flashes, and he's stabilized. Like I agree. I think the idea of him running pick and rolls with Giannis at any point in the game is just like a nightmare scenario for other teams, especially if he's hitting any of his jumpers. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. You're like, man, this is going to be a really tough cover the rest of the game. So I think he is definitely easily one of the X factors going into this.
Totally. I'm really looking forward to the minutes where he's out there with TJ McConnell, because McConnell has been a big Bucks killer for years and happened in the postseason last year. I think now with Porter, they have someone to counter McConnell's, I guess, toughness, craftiness, at least, maybe if not defensively. Like, I don't know how much Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be able to stop those little turnaround 8-footers that McConnell will shoot, or will necessarily be able to stop him from getting to his spots because McConnell's so quick. But I think Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be able to do the exact same thing on the other end.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. That's what we learned this week. All good. 4 wins. Pat Connaughton, swan song. Love it, love it, love it. Go Bucks, go Bucks, go Bucks. Oh, one more question. Does Pat Connaughton, does he have a little knock around in the rotation just to see,
No.
game 1, just to see what he's got? No? Okay.
No.
Sorry, Adam.
I don't think so.
No,
if he wasn't in there.
If Doc does that, I'm crashing out. I will say that. If Doc does that, I will crash out.
If he wasn't
live
playing
on
against
Periscope.
if he wasn't playing against the Timberwolves and also the Pistons on Friday night, I don't think we see him much in that series, unless God forbid someone
don't even say
it.
God, don't even say it. All right. We're gonna do a quick exercise here because the regular season is at a close here. 82 games, a lot of minutes, a lot of things to see, a lot of ups, lots of downs. I would like to ask you guys what you learned this season. It could be about the Bucks, it could be about basketball. Whatever you would like. This is kind of a free space. Kyle, we'll go to you first. What did you learn about the Bucks or basketball or whatever you like this 2024-2025 season?
It kind of goes hand in hand, both of the Bucks and the league, but athleticism matters. If you look at some of the top teams in the league, it's because they have more athleticism. You look at the Thunder, they have dudes 1 through 5. The Cavaliers, they're a weird one, but they also have athletic bigs in Mobley and Allen. You still have Garland and Mitchell. You look at the Celtics, and you got Porzingis, kind of healthy, kind of not healthy, but you still have Jaylen Brown, you still have Drew Holiday, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. And if you other than, I would say, the Lakers, there's not, if you look at some of the top teams, there's not a lot of we're going to play at a glacial pace or like our best players aren't athletic. So I think athleticism really does matter in this league. We saw with the Bucks, defensively, a lot of their issues where they kept getting killed in transition because they just weren't able to keep up. And then that was one of the benefits of that Chris Middleton trade is you got Kyle Kuzma, who has more athleticism, who has been good defensively because of that. He's able to kind of handle that. You get Kevin Porter Jr. You still have Ryan Rollins come up. Like you have the guys they brought in, that Horst brought in, and Gary Trent Jr., Torian Prince also can help with that. So I think that was the big thing. And then the other salary cap management is essential. Could the Bucks have made better trades with the Middleton trade? Maybe, maybe not. Like I've slammed Horst for it, but I also understand like there's not much you could do when you're in that second apron. And getting out of that second apron really can help move this team forward where now if you decide to trade Kyle Kuzma, you can try and get, 2 players. You can make more sensible decisions and make more like trades that possibly could help the team both in the short term and the long term. So I would say those are the 2 things. Salary cap management and athleticism are important in this NBA.
I'm going to follow on real quick because mine is sort of similar. So it's dealing with athleticism, but there's, because of the restrictions, second apron restrictions, which are really tough to get around. Like there's no getting around it. There is still enough moves at the margins for teams that know what they're doing or have the right player type in mind to make big changes with marginal moves. So what I mean here is like, okay, so Kevin Porter Jr. is sort of a unique case. I mean, you can, I guess, be trolling the court systems around the U.S. to see which players fall into trouble, and then, okay, well, there'll be a reclamation project. But assuming that's not a viable way to build teams in the future, which I don't think it is.
That's very dangerous.
Probably should not bank on that being your model team.
You don't want to do
like what the Portland Jailblazers did. Yeah.
Maybe they were too ahead of their time, the Jailblazers. Maybe we need, so assuming that's not team building. But the guys I think of are like the Rollins and the Simpsons of the world. So Jericho Sims, I mean, obviously, I don't think he's going to have much of a role in this playoffs, but still, for the brief time that he had before he injured his thumb, it's like, okay, this is at least something different and something younger. And Rollins, who was, again, another guy with off the court legal troubles, and he, didn't work out in Golden State. The Bucks get him 2-way. Convert them, hold on to them, convert them, and we'll see what happens this summer. But we went into the trade deadline as, I think it was still the oldest team, and we came out of it way, way younger in terms of averages across the league. And it does not take a lot to make those sorts of differences. And John Horst made his bones very early in his career as Bucks GM with a lot of those marginal moves, stacking little pieces and then getting, okay, we'll take this guy and then we'll be able to build into that. So, even in the darkest moments, we're like, man, they're really they're capped out. Their drafts asset haul is non-existent. There is still possibility of marginal moves and they hit, and that's exactly what you need to keep competing. But not all hope is lost, even when the cap sheet says otherwise. So that would be my takeaway on this season.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where the Bucks moved to in terms of
average age.
Yeah. I can tell you that I at the beginning of the year they were younger than they were last year, despite having guys who remained over the offseason age a little bit. But I can give you some numbers real quick. Average age of the 15-man roster right now is 27.3. And if you want to look at just the kind of the 9-man rotation I've been talking about, that includes Dame, I guess, at this point. It doesn't include, let's see, who did.
I feel like if you take out Dame and Brooks,
Ryan Rollins,
significantly lower.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this will drop if I replace Rollins with or Dame with Rollins. But even that's a 29.6. And then the starting lineup with Dame 32.2, but obviously it's going to be a lot younger right now with Ryan Rollins, who's 22 years old in there. Now, mine are a little different than yours. I think yours dovetailed together a bit more, but I have one little short thing and then one more significant thing that I was able to find some data on. I say that the ennui of last season, from the Griffin into the Doc era of 2023 to 2024. I think that ennui is a thing of the past. And I remember on this pod early in the season talking about how, what am I going to say? The Tuesday night in Charlotte or well, maybe not Detroit anymore.
You thought Detroit, but
yeah, Charlotte, Washington. The Bucks cared about those games a lot more last year. I mean, obviously the Minnesota game right before the All-Star break, even though there was no Dame or Giannis, like I think that was a real neat encapsulation of this whole thing I'm talking about, because what happened the game before the last game before the All-Star game in 2024 against Memphis, we don't need to talk about it. But that script completely flipped. This time the Bucks, as a very banged up or just, team of rotation guys and some maybe borderline NBA players, takes down a playoff team. And in the best game of the season for the Golden Hoofs, that's the one I was the one who said that game was the best one of the year. But hey, that exercise came too soon, because the other Timberwolves game was the best game of the year. Anyway, so that's just a regular season thing. Like, I don't really think it applies to the postseason, because the Bucks played very hard in the postseason last year. I guess this one also doesn't really apply to the postseason, unfortunately. But I think my biggest takeaway from the season, and this is again just based on the possibility that we will not see these two play on the floor together until hopefully next fall. But maybe we do, but maybe just not in this series. But Dame and Giannis, I think that pairing works. There were a lot of questions about it after year one, and there were people like Kevin O'Connor in the preseason saying like, oh, they didn't get a chance to work together this offseason, like the Bucks are screwed. I can't give you right now, because synergy costs thousands and thousands of dollars.
We ain't got synergy money.
Money.
I can't give you the direct, not right now. This is something I'm working on. So keep your eyes peeled to brewhoop.com for any of this information. So I can't give you their direct pick and roll stats, but what I can tell you is that Damian Lillard, you're talking about rankings of pick and roll ball handlers among all players in the league who qualify. Well, I put at 70 possessions, who have been a pick and roll ball handler for 70 possessions. Damian Lillard ranks 7th out of 100. Well, we're talking about 200 players here, that's the 92nd percentile with 1.07 points per possession. And he's running 523 possessions as the ball handler. That is just, I think, right outside the top 10. You got Trae Young, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Shea, Edwards, Mitchell, Garland, Brunson, Booker, Tatum. Then you have Lillard. And, well, Lillard is a better ball handler than everyone I just mentioned, at least from a points per possession standpoint, except for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is going to be the MVP this year. So,
which I think racking up free throws helps that number.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So we got a really strong ball handler running the offense when healthy. And also, like I said, Kevin Porter Jr. Is 91st percentile. He's just a few spots below Dame. After Dame, it goes Fox, Kyrie Irving, DeRozan, and Kevin Porter Jr. So he's ahead of names like Brunson, Garland, Edwards. Gary Trent is very high on this list, surprisingly, too, with only 87. And Giannis with 208 possessions as ball handler, 82nd percentile. So that's good. But let's look at the ball or the role men. Now, I said it at minimum 90 possessions here. This isn't going to sound as good. Giannis is 63rd percentile. However, I mean, you talk about like how that ranks among people with 90 possessions. That's just about 20, I think 25. It's kind of like he's ahead of guys like Miles Turner, Siakam, Embiid somehow qualifies for this. Naz Reid, Larry Markkinen, Bam Adebayo, Şengün as a role man. And you see some names that are just ahead of him, I'm talking like just 0.1 points per possession. Giannis is 1.16 points per possession as a ball handler. Just ahead of him are Victor Wembanyama, Evan Mobley, Portis. He's 71st percentile. Brook Lopez, 74th percentile. 0.3 more points per possession. But, like the top guys are obviously like Jokic, Allen, Onyeka Okongwu, interesting. Porzingis, Cat, like these, but none of these guys are even with the 90 possession minimum. None of them are even in the top like 10% among all players. So like Giannis is a good role man, and I think that number just seems a little bit low because we'll look last year and see how he finished as a role man, but that just seems a little bit low to me. So while I can't give you, like I said, the exact like figures for how much a direct pick and roll between those guys is working, like I think it's safe to say that it works at this point.
Well, and and I haven't looked at the numbers since all those articles ran, but even looking at the just the overall offense numbers for the team, like pick and roll for both ball handler and roll guy was, I think, top 10 for both of them in terms of effectiveness. So even if Giannis is not finishing at the rate that you would expect, quite obviously based off the fact that the two lead ball handlers that we've had on this season, like it's a gravity thing, even if that's what's opening
probably
it
free
up.
throws too, like I was
throws,
saying,
yep.
It's free throws.
Yes.
That's probably the 68% shooter. Leave some points on the floor.
Yeah, so I think all of that, it makes sense. And like when I think of Giannis rolling, like I always just assume it's more so a gravity play. Like I'm trying to think off the top. Obviously, he's a lob threat, like that goes without saying. And since we lost Chris, you don't necessarily have like the guy, like Porter will throw up lobs for sure, but Middleton is obviously the guy there. So I think part of it too is a little bit of chemistry, but it also clearly, even if he isn't finishing at the rate, he's generating enough like gravity by himself to let the other guys get going, the ball handler, which is an interesting kind of fold on how things worked out versus how I thought it would on paper, but it functions. Like the numbers overall for both the team and individuals shows that it does function for what you're looking for.
I'm looking really quickly at just like how he's been in the last several years as a like percentile wise as a ball handler, or I'm sorry, as a roll man. And since 2022, he hasn't finished above like this 63rd, 64th percentile that I'm saying right now. You have to go back to 2002 where he's in the 85th percentile.
2022, you mean?
2002.
That's what I thought.
Excuse me. Yeah, 2022. No, yeah. Well, I think at 7 years old, he was probably doing it too.
Yeah,
but it's interesting to look in his MVP years. His first MVP year, 95th percentile, but his second, 66th. So, like in terms of effectiveness, he's not all that different as a roll man than he has been in previous seasons.
Yeah, the difference being what you're saying, though, like the Dame of it all. Or in this case, without Dame, the Kevin Porter Jr. of it all. Like you have the ball handler on top of that. I'd be curious what the other guys like Drew and Eric.
I'm just looking at that right now.
I was gonna say I'd be curious. I mean, I think like Chris.
I want to see Middleton too.
Yeah, Chris would probably be pretty good. So it's if it's consistent like you think it would, it'd be those guys relative to expectations because Dame is, I think, a level above in terms of ball handling, obviously. But you would expect those guys to benefit from that as well.
We'll go back to his last healthy season. He's in the 72nd percentile in 2022, also in 2021. 2020, the big year, 83rd, and 60th back in Bud's first season. That's all for Chris Middleton, who, of course, as a ball handler.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Holiday.
Yeah. That's
as a ball handler in pick and roll.
Well, Drew was definitely an upgrade over Eric, so that's we made progress there. That was, I remember like the first game being like, oh, he's feels.
I take it back.
Not what
79th as a Buck, 79th, 84th, and 70 in the championship year, 77th. So pretty good.
So
do you want me to go to Bledsoe?
Sure. No. While you're pulling it up, you can. Why not? It's consistent though. Like it shows out.
Yeah, but it's gonna be like
2020 really... 83rd. And 2019, 87th. This is in the regular season, mind you.
That's the problem. I would love to know what happened with regular season post because I feel like that split would be.
I can tell you in 2018, 51st, in 2019, 43rd, and in 2020, 17th.
But so the point is, all that shakes out. I think the idea on paper when Dame got here was, oh man, like Dame is a great pick and roll guy, and he's really going to unlock something for Giannis, which hasn't necessarily borne out, but it's worked the other way. Giannis has opened up things even more for Dame or whoever else, but Dame, given his talent level as high as it is, gets to benefit even more. Like you said, he's both he and Porter Jr. up top 10 on the season. So I think it's interesting that over the course of 2 seasons now, we've seen it work out that way. And, you know, that's consistent with the way Giannis has played. And it's interesting to know. Keep that in mind for the future as more roster construction goes along. So, but yes, I agree that the Dame Giannis pairing in a lot of ways seems to work offensively, at least.
Oh, 100%. It's looked better too. Like you can just simply see it and be like, yes, that is it. Like Adam and I talked about, you could see it's like they're doing stuff. Who needed to meet in the offseason? All I got to do is talk. It's just vibes. So
they were just texting, like they said. We texted every day. That's all I needed to do.
Why work out when you can just simply send a thumbs up emoji?
Not even the emoji. Just hit the just what do they call that when you just like click on the message?
Well, I don't know. I'm assuming Giannis had to use a lot of WhatsApp reacting out in Greece and stuff.
Oh, good point.
Dame was like, I really don't feel like downloading these apps just to have Giannis send me dick jokes while he's in Greece or whatever. But and so a great season was born. Okay. Any other takeaways on the season at all before we switch over to miscellaneous? No. I think all things considered, I said this on last week's podcast, to go from 2-8 to a 5th seed within contention of getting to the 3rd seed as of a couple weeks ago. Good job, guys. Let's give thumbs up. Good job, guys, for salvaging it, because it looked a little dicey to start the year, though they righted the ship. Okay, miscellaneous. Start with the rapid fire questions. First one, important. Predict the next non-Giannis / Dame Buck who will score 40+ points.
Wow. I'm going to say Kevin Porter Jr. I hope it happens this series.
I'm going to say Brook. I feel like there's going to be a game where Brook goes like 6 of 8 from 3 and then just absolutely mashes down low. I'll say Brook.
Did he have a 40-point game in that Atlanta series, the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021? I mean, game 5, he had a big game, I remember, after Giannis went out.
I don't know if he had
more
40,
like 30.
because I think Chris did, but let me look.
Oh, yeah, Chris definitely did. I can pull it up real quick, too. That game after...
Brook had 33, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still...
Kevin Porter Jr. is not easy. He's the obvious option here. Bobby, it's just like, I don't know. He's been shooting more threes, so that would be a part of it. Like, he just have to hit a lot of threes, and he has that in him. But then the team around it, like, I'm not thinking it's a playoff. It would just be a regular season, let Bobby cook sort of situation. So I'm gonna say Bobby, even though I'm not sure if he'll be on the team long enough to make that come true. But that's a long-term play. Maybe
40 for Bobby. What's his career high? I'm going to look it up.
30 something. Let's say I'm going to guess 36.
We'll figure it out. It is. You are 2 off. 38. I think that happened as a Buck. I'm pretty sure that happened as a Buck.
Probably. He's gotten close. Yep. Okay. Next question. Congrats. You've gotten Bucks playoff tickets and you're going as a fan and not as a member of the media. What is your in-arena game day fits?
I wear my Giannis jersey and just the Bucks, like either probably the Giannis jersey. I might go with the cream colored lid, or the forest or the hunter green. I guess it depends how I feel. Pretty simple.
I'm kind of thinking about it. I was like, well, the last Bucks game I went to, I wear like the purple Bucks sweatshirt, so I'll probably wear. But it is spring. I think I'll wear like a long sleeve, like almost an Under Armour, and then I'll put on more likely my AJ Green jersey.
Do you have a white Under Armour under that? Like
I mean, I feel like I would have to go black because I feel like trying to do a white Under Armour with a white AJ Green jersey, that's too much white.
That's like a Ryan Rollins look, you know.
I feel like I could if I had like a green like Under Armour shirt, I'd do it. But I also don't want to wear like a sweatshirt because I like my Bucks sweatshirts. I don't want to bury it under a jersey.
I was going to ask Van, are you a t-shirt long sleeve under the jersey? What's your go-to there?
I guess it depends on the time
Maybe
of year.
maybe you just do Jersey.
I let
That'd
the.
be kind
I
of
mean,
that'd be
I've
let it rip.
I think I've done games. It's been such a long time since I've been to a Bucks game as a fan, and I think the last times I've went were in winter, so I did have just a green Bucks t-shirt on underneath it. But I've definitely like put the guns out for a basketball game.
I feel like wearing a t-shirt seems dumb. Like either just go all in with the gun show or wear a long sleeve of some type. Like don't half-ass it with the
Don't
t-shirt.
half these, yeah.
Don't
half
John
measures.
Henson it, okay?
I would go with this hat because we bought this at Kohl's maybe a decade ago. Whenever the rebrand happened, I bought this hat for $20 at Kohl's, and it's served me well ever since. So we do this hat. I bought a throwback Kareem jersey after they won the title.
Nice.
So I'd probably wear that and a pair of jeans and some nice sneakers. That's what I would go with.
I'm just realizing this hat, the last time I went to a Bucks game, this was the giveaway. It was the Vin Baker designed hat. It's kind of nice.
Right.
Vin did a good job.
Yeah,
I like that on the side.
I wish I
too.
could wear hats, but all this hair will not allow it. I have some good
Put it
Bucks
back
hats,
like me.
but
Put it back like me, man.
even doing that, it's still too much.
All right, next question. This is a real rapid fire one for you. What would a Giannis title sans Dame mean for his legacy?
Top 12 player of all time, maybe.
You could
For
argue.
Giannis. You were talking about Giannis's legacy,
Yes,
right?
yes, Giannis. Sorry, yeah, not Dame. Obviously, I don't think it changes much for Dame.
Dame is removed from the NBA top 75.
Probably the second greatest power forward ever.
Yeah. Just behind Tim Duncan?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess
he would pass Dirk. He would definitely pass Dirk. He would definitely
Yeah.
pass Kevin Garnett. Maybe you could say Moses Malone or McHale.
I mean, Malone was
But that's the thing. Like
center in a lot of. I mean, just when he was playing with like Ralph Sampson, I
right.
think more of a center.
That's where it gets tough. But I would say another
Yeah.
Giannis, I would put him second power forward all time.
Yeah, I mean, the other name would be like Karl Malone, but
No,
fuck that guy.
Giannis is
Second leading scorer in NBA history.
Great, no ring. Giannis is ahead.
Yep.
I agree with you guys' takes. I also think it would. I hope. I mean, we got Marcus Morris out here on first take.
Oh, God.
He can't. But I'm hoping a second title. It finally puts everything to bed. Everyone can just shut the hell up about it, and we never have to hear about that. That's wishful thinking, I know, but
that's what I thought after the first one. But
and I think it would be doubly so. Well, I thought so after the first one too. Doubly so now that we're kind of in the quote unquote parody era, where being like the singular guy to have to drag, again, good role players who know their spot and can excel in it, but having to drag that through like 4 rounds of the playoffs in this day and age, in a 3-point heavy league like this, where being the big man on the inside,
have to beat, it's like you would
Yeah.
beat the Pacers. Like, then you got to go beat the first seed Cleveland
Cavs,
Cavaliers,
yep.
and then likely beat the Boston Celtics,
yeah,
and then probably have to face the Oklahoma City Thunder
Yeah.
or a LeBron team, or God forbid another like a Golden State. Like that is or it would be a murderer's row gauntlet.
Dragon
that title.
Riley saying like the team dragon just makes me think of Kareem. I tell your old man to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 48 minutes.
It would be the exact opposite of the first title run, where it was like, who the hell was the first round opponent?
Miami, they swept them.
Yeah, Miami swept.
Bryn Forbes game.
Brooklyn, crazy. The Hawks without Giannis. Like, everybody be like, oh, whatever, Mickey Mouse title. If we have to go through all that and Giannis wins the title, the
Mickey Mouse would be what the Boston Celtics faced last year, or the Lakers, since it was literally at Disneyland.
Next one here. Congratulations. You've got Bucks playoff tickets and you're going as a fan. What is your in-arena meal option, assuming money is not an object?
Okay, there we go.
I have to think about this one because money isn't an object when I go to games as media. Well, it is kind of, but you get a $17.50 voucher, which covers a lot of things.
Well, so you have experience, so you'll be able to pull in from direct lived experience.
You know what I had for the first time last time was I believe it's called the Cluckery. I had their chicken and waffle sandwich. That was excellent. So I might do that. That's what I'm gonna have the next time I'm going to the game. That's what
that sounds pretty good. I'd have that in a beverage. Whether it's a lemonade or just like a simple beer, I don't know, but definitely that.
Oh yeah,
that sounds good. That sounds.
If I'm not there as media, I could have a beer. Yeah, I'll have a beer with that.
Since money's not an object, I will gladly buy a beer. I don't normally buy a beer because it's like I'm not paying.
Oh, if money's not an object, I'm gonna get like a double
We're getting a good cocktail,
gin and tonic or something like that.
I'm either getting a good beer or a good cocktail.
Show up to I forget what that bar is called at the very tippy top of the arena, that club up there. Just your finest bourbon. Oh, Bucks bartender. Oh, Five-star bartender. Where is your Johnny Walker Blue?
I've only been to the forum for the preseason scrimmage, the Bucks versus Bucks scrimmage, and I don't know if they were even serving food. So I don't know what do they have nachos? It's not nachos in a
they've got
Brewers
nachos
cap, obviously.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got nachos. They've got nacho stands. Yep.
Okay, I would probably go to Old Reliable, thing of nachos, a beer, and we'll see if I maybe get a little crazy. Did they do Dippin' Dots?
Nah,
is that exclusively a Brewers thing? Damn it! All right, well I'll find.
Honestly, I was like, I don't even know.
I don't think I've seen them there. I don't know about what desserts they have, but I don't think I haven't seen. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen the very obvious Dippin' Dots cart.
Peter Fagan, I know you're listening. Let's make it happen. Now is the time. Let's make a change. All right. That's all I got for rapid fire. Wait, sorry. I had one more question. This one's actually rapid fire. Yoga, yay or nay?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure is a good example. I don't do it. I've done it, but yeah, I got no problem with it. Yeah. I did
I guess I didn't expect prejudice, but
if someone said, "Hey, you want to go do yoga?" I'd say yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna go do it on my own. I've done it with girlfriends and partners. I don't know what's the one, Bikram? Is that the hot yoga? I did that once, and man, some of the smells in there, and it was mostly a hot room. Even though it was like I was one of the maybe there were probably about 40 people in there, and you could count other guys in there on one hand. I'm just like, boy, it's surprising.
You said we are working through our demons together in this room. Such I asked
working them out.
Yeah, I recently got a yoga membership with my wife up the road, and we've enjoyed it a lot, and that is good. So, all right,
as long as you can fart around each other, you're good.
Exactly. Well, it's about the strangers, not my wife, that I have to worry about. Okay, moving on to the next section here in miscellaneous. It's been a while since we last had Van on, so we're going on to our next stop in Van's Warped Tour, the song this week. I'll let you say it. You go ahead. Take it away.
Well, I'm probably gonna say it a little bit. You could say it a little better. Anton aus Tirol, DJ Ötzi. How would you say it?
Anton aus Tirol, DJ DJ Ötzi.
Ötzi. Okay, so
yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
DJ Ötzi.
They didn't teach me this at Duolingo yet.
DJ Ötzi is from Austria in the Tyrol region. Should I be saying Tyrol, like Tyrol Basin, or Tirol?
I would say Tirol, but I'm used to the German spelling of it. So
Tirol, if you don't know, is a region in the Alps. It straddles the Austrian and Italian border. Obviously, DJ Ötzi is from the Austrian side, and he is named after Ötzi the Iceman, who was, I don't know if either of you are familiar, a mummified man discovered in the Tyrolean Alps in 1991. The oldest known natural mummy in Europe. Discovered. Actually, it was technically in Italy, but close enough. It's in Tyrol. So DJ Ötzi was interesting to read about his background on his website and also on Wikipedia. He was given up for adoption very young. He became homeless at 16, but he became a cook, and he got discovered in a karaoke competition, became a DJ in the 90s, but put out this absolute banger in 1999 called Anton aus Tirol. And I found out, I've known about this song for many years, but I just found out that it's actually not an original. It's not a DJ Ötzi original. Apparently, it had been recorded. It'd been recorded by several probably Austrian artists previously, where it never really had much success on the charts. It was apparently written by a Slovenian in the 70s. But DJ Ötzi decided to take up the mantle in the late 90s, and he put it as the lead single from his album Das Album. And now you may be wondering, what is the song about? Well, I'm going to tell you, and we are going to quiz our resident Germanophile, who is a self-professed German stammerer. See how he can translate these lyrics on the spot. Okay, so the refrain, the chorus of the song. This I'm sure you'll get. Ich bin so schön, ich bin so toll, ich bin der Anton aus Tirol. I can even do that. You got it?
Yeah.
What we got, Ray? Are you
Well,
typing in the Google Translator?
No, I'm
Don't cheat.
So it's funny too. It's funny too on top of it because
Holding up the phone mic to pick up on it and translate.
It's clearly written in like Austrian German too, or at least and where it's pulling some of the letters out to make it easier for him to pronounce. So I am beautiful. I am good, happy. I am Anton aus Tirol. So
okay, yeah, easy enough. Now here's the next one, and
this next one gets a little crazy.
I mean, you'll be able to get. I think anyone will be able to get like the very end of it. But meine gigeschlanken Waden san a Wahnsinn für die Mädchen, mein Figur Wunder die Natur.
So my huge, let's call it huge member is an insanity. Is an insanity for the women. My figure is a wonder of nature.
Yeah, you got the last one, but
what do they call
actually,
it?
Giga Schlanken Waden. Mine in the translation I get my Giga Slim calves. So I don't know.
Okay.
Waden, WADL.
Yeah, Waden.
Yeah. All right. Then we got ich bin so stock und auch wild. Ich treibe heiße und Eis gekrollt.
Jeez, we're giving it all right now.
I don't know, man. I'm trying my best.
I don't know about Stoke. Does he mean Stark? So I'm strong.
Maybe
and
it's
so
a typo.
Wild.
Yeah, it's strong.
No,
it might be a typo.
Strong and wild.
Yep.
Treiben. I don't remember what Treiben is, but something's hot, and then I keep it cool.
I do hot and icy cool. And finally, wippe ich mit dem Gesaß, schreien die Hasen SOS und wollen den Anton aus Tirol. How would you do? I know
Man.
one of those nouns in there. I've known that one of those nouns since I was a kid.
Gosh, it's been a minute. Is Hasen, is that for rabbits in this one?
Yeah, it's a rabbit. Yeah.
Okay,
That's the one I knew.
Yeah. I don't know what Gesis is, and I don't know. So the rabbits are screaming SOS.
That's right.
And they want
Anton,
and they want Anton, but I don't know what Wippe mit dem Gesis.
I mean, maybe I pronounced it wrong. Gesas, GES, A with an umlaut, and then the gross is the double S. So, but that apparently means if I bounce my buttocks, the rabbits scream SOS. I assume rabbits are what the Tyroleans call Madchen.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Nice job, Riley.
Thank you.
I do want to just one more because shout out to Doc Rivers. The first,
I was gonna say you got to go to the second verse.
The first verse, yeah. So you're looking blaue Pill Celery das braucht so Anton nie. That means blue pill celery. Anton never needs that.
I caught on that one right away.
Yeah, not. He doesn't need to go. He doesn't need to get blue pills from his buddies on the golf course. Or I guess it would be at the. I guess it would be on the ski range for Anton. So there you go. Anton aus Tirol by DJ Ötzi is the stop on the Warped Tour this week.
I'm glad we have another entry. I'm pretty sure the last one, I can't remember what it was, but I remember we ended on like
must have been German.
It was a Wisconsin guy, I think. It was like he was on the drinking Hall of Fame or whatever that. Yeah,
the Happy Schnaps combo, was it them?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
and we closed as you were going through the drunken Hall of Fame of like celebrities. And, all right, I think we're good.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
nice.
It was. I remember I've re-listening a million times because it's just so damn funny how we close that. All right, That was a good stop on the Warped Tour. It's very German centric on a lot of these, which obviously
That's what I've been doing for you, Riley. Just for you.
I do appreciate.
And I have
that.
I do actually have a lot of German like music like up here, kind of just floating around that gets stuck in my head. So
they do good stuff. They got good.
Don't ask how that
against
happened.
it all.
Yeah, this is pop. It's Schlager music, big Oktoberfest stuff. This song.
From Oktoberfest to Indianapolis, Indiana, from Munich, Germany to Indianapolis, Indiana, we're going to make the leap. Round 1 starts on Saturday at noon. Do we know the rest of the schedule yet?
I haven't, unless it came out during this podcast. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I just know that they're the first ones to start off.
Well, they're going to play on Saturday and probably Monday would be the guesstimate. So that's what it is. It's noon. We'll just open this up real quick. Round 1 predictions. Van, you're the guest host, so please, what's your round 1 prediction for this series against the Pacers?
Prior to the 8-game win streak, which again, not coming against great competition, but they did show me some things during that stretch, especially in the last week, to where after the Dame diagnosis came down, just was like, okay, they're probably going to fall to the 6th seed, and it's probably going to be a gentleman's sweep at best against New York. But nope, this team has no quit in it. And even without Damian Lillard, I think just what we were saying earlier about Giannis and how I think he's going to crush the Pacers. And just, if Damian Lillard comes back, I think this is maybe this prediction stays the same, maybe even gets a little better, but I'm going with Bucks in 6 for the first round. They will take it at game home. I think they will get one of the first 2 on the road, and they will get both at home, and then we'll have a very spirited game 5 on the road where they take another one. Because they finished with a 5, they finished 500 on the road after being like way below it for most of the year. So, and the Pacers, they too, I have to look and see where they finished because they were a game below 500 on the road yesterday. They also finished at 500 on the year on the road. So there you go.
Kyle, where you at?
I think they'll win in 7. I think Dame will come back. I don't think he should come back, but I think he will come back. That will be enough to get Milwaukee. And I think right now Giannis is playing so well, and Indy does not have an answer. So unless it is a case of that Celtics series from 2022 where there's no one else that helps him out, I think there will be someone who I don't know, but I think the Bucks will win in 7. It's going to be an annoying 7-game series, but I think they do pull out and win in 7.
I'm going to go with 7 as well. I think it is going to be annoying. The thing about the Pacers is they are tryhards, which is not necessarily something you can rely upon to carry you to a title, but can be a fucking pain in the ass in any given series. The other thing about being tryhards, though, is if you're a tryhard and it doesn't work, well, that can deflate sales pretty quickly because then all of a sudden you have to go back to the drawing board and think it up and, So I think they'll be annoying, but I think the Bucks will prevail. I'm going to guess 7 games. I don't think it's going to be super pretty at times, but I believe in the power of Giannis and the power of friendship. And then we'll just see what happens from there. I think a first round series, like of all the matchups, I think the Pacers are one of the worst ones for having to deal with Giannis. And so that ultimately works out, even if the Bucks don't have home court advantage. So I'm going to say 7. Go for the Bucks.
I have quick follow-up questions. One is, what's the power of friendship that the Bucks have now? Who are the friends that were Brooke and Giannis? Because they're also new to each other.
Well, it's Bobby calming down Kevin Porter Jr. Bobby being the designated KPJ calming down. Makes sense. The KPJ whisperer. That's okay. The power of friendship.
That makes a lot of sense. Other quick question for both you guys, since you said 7. How do you think it will go in terms of like who wins what game if it's a 7-game series? Like, does it start 2-2 and then like someone takes a road game? Like someone like road team takes game 5, road team takes game 7. What do you think? Or do you think the Bucks like win the first 3 or win go 3-1 and then
says, we got to do it for me, guys. We're doing it for me.
Do it for the meme. No, okay. I think the Pacers win round 1.
Game 1, yeah.
Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think Milwaukee then I feel like Pacers win 1, Bucks win 2, Pacers win 1.
Okay.
Pacers win 1, Bucks win 2, Pacers win 2, and then Bucks get game 7.
Game 6 and game 6 and 7. Yeah.
Math is hard, okay?
Yeah. I got you. Oh, Riley, what do you think?
I do think they'll split the first 4, so it'll be 1-1, 1-1, and then
Home and home for each team. Yeah.
Yeah, home and home for each team.
Home and away.
Home and away.
Yeah.
And then I think the Bucks will do 6 and 7 too. I think that they'll. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's interesting. I remember looking this up back when the Bucks beat the Nets in 2021 because they lost Game 5 on the road, and in a 2-2 series, it was at that point something like 84% of the time that the team who wins Game 5 in a 2-2 series goes on to win the series, and the Bucks were one of the 15%. That number actually I think is a little more like 82 or so now. We'll see it, I'm sure, but it's funny because the next year the Bucks won Game 5 in Boston to go up 3-2 in that series, and then they lost the next 2 games, so it flipped.
I think the Bucks are gonna be a tough. I'm just not sure how if things, because they're such front runners, and the try hard thing. So if they get punched in the mouth for real, sustained, even if it's 2 games in a row, it's like, okay, what do we do now, guys? So that's the real question. If the Bucks do win games 2 and 3 in a row, and then they're like, oh shit, going into game 4, I think that then everything's kind of out the window. And then the game
they won't allow it. They won't be like, we can't go up 3-1. We just can't do it. It'll too risky. It's too risky.
Doc will be, guys, listen to me. I've been here before, plenty of times before. We got to do this.
Yeah, take the L on this one. Let's rest everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Well, I'm glad everybody has a positive prediction for the Bucks. I think it'll be a good series. I'm looking forward to it, largely because Giannis will be there, and he's the great equalizer, and he's a lot of fun to watch in the playoffs. So we'll be back after each game with the rapid recap kind of thing that we did a little bit last year. We'll be working with our playback.tv/Brewhoop, where you can watch all the games with the crew over at Brewhoop, but we'll be going from there into reactions for all the games. Programming note, later this week, we are meeting with Tom Lewis of Indie Cornrows to do a series preview to help catch us up on where the Pacers are now versus where they were a year ago. And of course, all the usual coverage over at Brewhoop, pre-game, during game, post-game, between game. We'll have more articles about somebody saying Dame might be almost ready to come back. So stay tuned for all that. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that sort of good stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again very soon.